Congresswoman Kathy Manning put out a statement late yesterday saying she will not run for a third term under the new gerrymandered maps drawn by Republicans in the North Carolina General Assembly.
Yeah, since 2020, Manning has represented North Carolina's 6th district, which at least until the new maps came out included Guilford County, much of Forsyth County. She spoke virtually with our senior political reporter Bob Buckley to tell him why she decided to not run again.
How did you come to this decision?
When the Republican-led General Assembly released their new maps, they destroyed the 6th district. They divided Greensboro into 3 different pieces and put each of those pieces together with a broad range of rural counties that are primarily Republican voters. And so I did not feel that I could ask the thousands of volunteers who would work their hearts out with their time, energy, and resources for a campaign for me. I just didn't think it was fair to ask them to do that when the map is so rigged against a Democrat winning.
This goes against their own rules, correct? The rules say you need to keep counties together wherever you can.
Yes, they have totally disregarded all their rules, common sense, and what the people have asked them to do. It's a power grab, and frankly, it's shameful.
There are people who will say parties always do this. The Democrats did this when they were in charge. Now the Republicans are getting revenge, if you want to call it that.
I think what they should have done was looked at the maps that were drawn before the last election. 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat drawing these maps, and the results were fair maps that in a truly purple state resulted in 7 Republicans being elected, 7 Democrats being elected to represent North Carolina in the U.S. House. By any measure, that seems like an appropriate result.
Do you feel like you were personally targeted, or was this just simply the easiest Democratic seat to eliminate?
I try not to take it personally.
That doesn't mean that you don't think it is personal.
The answer is absolutely. They went after our district because they knew that if they sliced up Guilford County, they could achieve another Republican seat. I have to tell you, I was talking to Kevin McCarthy, the former speaker, on the House floor to ask him to allow me to be included in a bipartisan group that he was working on putting together. And he looked at me and he said, "Where are you from?" I said, "North Carolina." And he said to me, "I need 3 seats in North Carolina." And I of course said, "Well, don't take mine," but jokingly, but it was clear from his lips, he needed 3 seats in North Carolina and he was going to work to get them.
You don't see a way in which you might still run again, depending on how these lawsuits turn out?
Oh, if we win that lawsuit and we get a fair map, I will absolutely work to continue to serve my people.
Meanwhile, Manning still has more than a year in her second term and believes one of Congress' biggest responsibilities is to back Israel in their current war, the blame for which she puts squarely on Hamas.
They went house to house, killing people, burning people, slaughtering babies, and killing more than 250 people at this outdoor concert. They took more than 240 people hostage, and 130 people are still being held hostage, including women and girls, and including American citizens. And the disaster that Hamas brought upon innocent Palestinian civilians is unforgivable.
And yet we see thousands of people across the country demonstrating in support of Hamas and the Palestinians, not always both, but often both. We see people in your own party saying this is nuanced and we need to think more deeply about it. That doesn't bode well for us.
I am deeply concerned that people who are marching, when they scream for an intifada, they don't know what an intifada is. The second intifada that Israel experienced was years of bus bombings and restaurant bombings and the slaughtering of civilians. And when people yell from the river to the sea, they perhaps don't understand that that means the murder of Jews and the destruction of the state of Israel. We all want peace, and it won't happen if Hamas is in control and continues its desire to not only to slaughter Israelis, but to sacrifice the Palestinian people for its fundamental religious determination that there should be no state of Israel and no Jews in the Middle East.
It is highly likely the lawsuit over the new districts won't be resolved before the December 15th deadline for candidates to file for their seats. But in 2022, the state Supreme Court did extend the filing window until after the General Assembly could redraw the districts. So that could happen again this year.
And we